I don't care. Either one. Hi there. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Friday's edition of Rockstar Interview with Sherri Johnson and Sherri Johnson Coaching. I'm Sherri Johnson, your host, and I'm so excited. Today's guest, most of you are aware, and we had so many people excited about today's interview, David Knox, industry icon, real estate trainer, who has literally, I think you have... I don't think there's a real estate agent, honestly, that doesn't know who you are and hasn't been coached or trained by you, David. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much, Sherri. Really good to see you again. Last time I saw you, and I was in New York. All right, forget about it.
That's right. We were talking about cars, and we were at, I think we're at the RIS Media Hour dinner.
Yep.
Yes. While people are getting on, while we have some people getting on, because I don't want anyone to miss all the great content we're going to talk about and the questions we're going to ask David. I just launched the You Rock podcast, and my producer is like, make sure you comment on this. So I'm going to say we just launched the You Rock with Sherri Johnson Real Estate Podcast. It is out. It's available. We've had over 200 downloads in like a week. It is on every podcast platform. So make sure you go check that out and download it. We're excited, and it was a long time in the making, and I've got a great team here that have put that together. So check that out. And so the first thing I want to say is, David, I got my real estate license in 1996.
Okay.
And I was with a company in Cleveland, Smythe Kramer Company.
Oh gosh, sure.
And then we obviously became Howard Hanna back in 2003. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And as an agent, I was going to Howard Britton Star Power. I was watching all your videos.
Mm-hmm.
I was intently watching. I think most of my literally how to price a home strategy and language about for sale by owners, all this stuff. I know it is just has been absorbed by me. And you've really created so many fantastic superstar agents around the country.
Oh, thank you.
I got to meet you at a Howard Hanna convention.
Okay.
I actually think I introduced you at these. And then my favorite day, I don't even know if you know this, but I had started Sherri Johnson Coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in San Antonio at a brokerage sales convention, my first time speaking on the stage as a now a trainer and coach, and I was following you, and I remember I stood there and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm following David Knox. This is unbelievable!" And I met you on stage, and you were gathering up your stuff, and I said, "Hi, David. You don't know me. I'm Sherri Johnson." I told you that I had met you at Howard Hanna, and it was like the greatest. I remember feeling like I had arrived. Here I am. I'm right after you on stage. It was so cool. It was so cool. And over the last 4 years, I see you at all these events, and we're able to talk and get to know each other personally. The CEO Exchange, RIS Media's events, and NAR, of course.
Yeah.
Would you just share with everybody, where did your career start, and how did you get? I mean, you are speaking to over 20,000 people a year. Actually, you have 20,000 people in your platform a year.
Yeah, I think subscribers. We've got about 65,000 agents in our online training, and over the years, I don't know. I guess I've lost count, but I've done 3,500 live seminars in all 50 states and 12 countries. So I've done a lot of stage stuff. I haven't done anything in the last year, but everything's. I've done 700 Zooms.
Oh my gosh! And I remember chatting with you and saying, "Hey, would you be on my show?" And you said, "Yes, if you'll be on mine." And we laughed and hugged. And I remember saying, I must be crazy. We just talked about, I started my company, and you said, I really, you focused on training videos, and I love it. And again, you cannot find a better trainer out there. Everyone that I know has heard of you, has taken your courses, has heard you speak. So where did it all start? And tell the audience where you're from. And
yeah, I guess, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've always lived in the Midwest, and I've got a second home in Rancho Mirage, Palm Springs area for about the last 20 years. It's so cold in Minnesota. We had dogs frozen to trees most of the year. You have to get out of here. But when I got out, I went to the University of Minnesota, and after I graduated, a buddy of mine came over and said, "What are you doing tonight?" And I said, "I don't know. Why? What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm going to go get my real estate license. You want to come with me?" And I went, "Yeah, okay." So with that commitment, I got in the real estate business. And I remember the first night of training, the guy said, "I want you to take a look at this word. You see an I in realtor?" So the first thing I learned was how to pronounce realtor. I remember that. And I went with a small company with no training. And then the same friend, a gentleman named Dar Reedy, one of my best friends, he's still my best friend, started with another company named Burnett Gagner back in 1973, Ralph Burnett. And they started a company, and I joined them. And finally, I had some good training and finally got really good at selling and having a good time. And I also, probably the biggest change in my life was I had stopped my partying. On January 1, 76, I said, I'm out partying all the time. I got to quit drinking. So I quit drinking. And then a couple of years later, I went through an outpatient alcohol treatment center. And that really was when I changed my life. That's when I kind of grew up and decided it's amazing what you can do when you're sober. And then I went to a class called Achieving Your Potential. So one of my mentors was Lou Tice, and he was the one who got into all the comfort zone and that kind of stuff. It all came out. Of course, that came from the book Think and Grow Rich. But I'd always been selling in college. We painted homes. That's what we did for a living. So I never really had an employer. And then in the mid 70s, that's when I set a goal after Lou Tice. I read affirmations. I've still got the affirmations on 3x5 cards. And it said, "I am pleased to be a national public speaker." I still have the card. I still believe in the affirmations. And I met a whole bunch of people that led me to become a CRS instructor. And that's where I met Howard Brinton, Bill Barrett, Dave Beeson, Pat Zavey, all these guys that have been my mentors. And we formed what we call the BBBK, Beeson, Barrett, Brinton, Knox. And of course, Howard Brinton, one of my dearest friends, passed away. I think it's been 5 years now. But I remember he was at the end of a CRS course, he'd critique, and he gave real critique. He said, "David, your opening sucked." I said, "Well, Howard, what was the matter with it?" He said, "It sucked." But then the other side, he said, "David, that was the best I've ever seen." So he was, those are the kinds of people who coached me along. Yeah. And then Ralph Burnett sold this company to Merrill Lynch back in 82. Okay. And I told Ralph, I said, I'm ready I was the training director of the company. I was promoted to trainer, and I did all the training and really loved that. Built the whole training program, 4-week training course. And I said, I want to go out on my own and be a national speaker. And Ralph said, "Don't do that." I went, "What do you mean don't do that?" He says, "Don't do that." And I've learned when Ralph talks, I'd listen.
Yeah.
And a few months later, there's a huge impact day out at the country club out here. And Dakin Ferris, chairman of the board of Merrill Lynch, flew in on his private jet to announce the purchase of the company with Merrill Lynch. And I went up to Ralph and I said, "Is this why you didn't want me to do it?" He goes, "Uh-huh." I go, "Thank you very much for preventing me from making a stupid decision." And then I went on to be the national training director for Merrill Lynch Realty, moved out to Connecticut, and lived pretty much a charmed life. I dated a wonderful woman out there. I raced cars. I had been in racing cars, and I raced with Paul Newman in a number of races. In fact, I was, if you look up Trans Am, a professional race, 1986 Trans Am, Lime Rock, Connecticut, Paul Newman won it. So that was my very first professional race, and it was a lot of fun. And of course, I'm in an amateur car, and I got lapped 5 times in this race. So I know I was on TV 5 times.
Oh my God.
And he'd come up in his Nissan number 33 Diet Coke. I'd see him in the rearview mirror, and he'd catch up to me, and I'd pull over, and he'd pull past me. I thought, I don't want to take out Newman on his home track when he's leading. And I'd tuck in behind him, and I'd go down the west bend, and I'd go down the downhill, and then all of a sudden he'd pull away, and I go, "See you in 9 laps," and he came around. But you know what? Of all, I won my first race, won my last race, but the only one I ever talk about, the only one I ever think about was the one where I finished 19th. I started DFL, dead freaking last. I was in a promoter's option. And, but I worked my way up to 19th out of 36, and just to be in it. And I use that story a lot with realtors that even if you don't win the race, if you perform better than you did in the last race, and if you compare yourself not to other people, but to your last lap, And did you have fun? Did you enjoy it? That race was so much fun. I mean, I can say I was in a race with Paul Newman. That was worth the price of admission right there. And I got to meet him a couple times in races. So it was a lot of fun. And I still do track days. I've got in fact, that's a model of my new sports car. So I still do track days. I bought that car in October. I've had it on the racetrack 13 days since then. So I still have a need for speed.
I've seen pictures of your cars, and I've actually seen some of the things you've posted. I love it. I think that is just fantastic. I did not know about Paul Newman, though. That's a fantastic
story. That was fun.
Wow. And, you just said compare yourself to your last lap. I think that is such a takeaway because real estate agents tend to compare themselves to the people in their offices. And it's like you have to look at, what are you doing that you're capable of doing versus comparing yourself to what other people are doing. The other thing I wanted to touch on, I love, I had forgotten that we have our commonality of sobriety. And I think that is really,
you too. That's right.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. It's amazing to me. I actually got chills when you were talking about it. And, that was a pivotal day changing point of my life as well. And
How long ago was it for you?
So originally 1997, and I now have 6.5 years. So back again in 2014. Yeah. So I was,
good for you.
2 months during that entire 23 years, but it's the greatest gift I've ever got.
Yeah, best decision I ever made. And I look back, I don't know, I did another video on, I forgot the title of it, rejection and things like that, and failure. And that, failure, there's 3 outcomes of every experience in life. REL, the reward, winning, the experience, was it fun? Like the race with Paul Newman, I didn't win it, but my gosh, did I ever have fun? And then learning. So some of the most painful lessons come from these painful experiences.
That's right.
I had a business transaction recently that I was all excited about, and it turned out the person was just misrepresenting and horrible and lied. And I really felt like a victim. And I thought, I can't believe that I was fooled by this person. And it was really a painful experience. I'm still feeling the pain of it. But I go, you know what? I don't want to be a victim. And I did a video called Responsibility, where, you can look at the victim event, and I'm a victim, and this happened and that happened. And yes, the event did happen, whether it was alcoholism or divorce or, death of somebody you care about and all these different things.
Right.
But if you back up, every event in life has a setup. Something happened before that. And maybe you didn't have all the responsibility, but you had 1%. And in a lot of cases, 1% is enough to change the whole thing. I talk about riding motorcycles and being in somebody's blind spot, and somebody turns into you. The driver who turns into you is wrong in every possible measure of the world, but I set myself up to let somebody else's wrong mess up my life. So I try my best to live as an accountable, responsible person, learn from mistakes, and it's just a better way to go through life.
It is. And you just said responsibility. And I always flip that word around, the ability to respond. How do we respond? Yeah. And we can look at things as opportunities. And certainly you have. And that's just fantastic. I too always had sales jobs. I love your story about, just always wanting to do that. So you make the decision to become a trainer.
Yep.
And you've been really just fantastic. And your impression of Howard Britton is spot on. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we shared the stage a lot.
I am
David, you do me better than I do me.
It was come to think of it, I remember him imitating you.
Yep.
And all of the the Crockett's took me to those things, and I am so grateful that I was surrounded by those people who Suzanne Gallman and everyone at my office who just said, you're going to this event. So let's talk about, because we have a lot of people on here today struggling with this real estate market. You're all about really great strategies in pricing and negotiating and adding value. And the biggest thing I think agents are struggling right now, and you can even share what you're hearing and seeing from everybody, but this market, and whether we're in this market or any market, I feel that agents, if they have a very good strategy, they can survive any market.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what agents can be doing right now to generate more listings, to be more successful, and anything else you'd like to highlight on.
Well, I go back to the first day in real estate. The two first things I learned was how to pronounce realtor, and that if you have listings, you will make a lot of money in the business, and you'll have, that's the foundation of the business. You talk about old school versus new school fundamentals. If you're a listing agent, you're always going to be making more money. You can take vacations. We all know that. So that fundamental applies today even more than it did back in 1973. So working with buyers today is like bringing sand to a beach. And right? I mean, one of the first rules of making money in anything is work the side of scarcity. A friend of mine worked for one of these, it's called Second Swing, where they have golf clubs, used golf equipment. And I asked them the question, what's more difficult for you, finding people to rent or buy the clubs, or finding the clubs? And I didn't know it. I thought, well, and he said, actually, the most difficult thing is finding the clubs. We got tons of people who want to buy used golf clubs. We have to go find people that want to turn them in. So, okay, then I guess I don't need to promote people coming to the store to rent them. What I need to do is get the product. So in a market where in 2008, you wanted to represent buyers. I mean, that's where you made the money. And now you want to represent sellers. So if you're going to work with buyers, and by the way, yes, you have to, but it better be your mom or dad, better have their home listed, be a referral, and they better be willing to buy now from you. And you sit down, somebody say, hey, we want to buy a house. You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding. And you want me to show you houses. And you never once invited me for coffee. Why do you treat me so disrespectful? It's like, sorry, it's Friday. I have to entertain myself.
It's the best.
But yeah, you've got to really sit down with buyers. So you want to buy a house. So why should I work with you? Why should I work with you? And no, you can't be that flippant with them. But you want to make darn sure two words come to mind in today's market with buyers. M-E, motivation, expectations. I'm rereading the book Think and Grow Rich, and Napoleon Hill talks about the fundamental is desire. We talk about the job market today where, employers are desperately needing employees, and then the government's paying them to not work. So they paid the desire to go away. Now we can't hire anybody. And I don't want to get too much into stuff like that, but that's a good example of you kill desire, you're not going to get employees. And desire is the fundamental basis of success in this industry, of if anything you do. And if you have the desire, you'll figure out the means. The mechanics of doing something always come second to desire. So back to the buyers. Do you have the desire to buy in today's market? And if they go, okay, we'd really like to find a house, but if we don't, we're happy where we are. Yeah, good luck with that. I want to hear them say, look, I got 16 kids in one bathroom. You understand what I'm saying? We got to buy a place. That's the motivation that they need to have. And then the second thing is expectations. And I would say expectations and the lack of managing them is the problem with almost everything that goes on in real estate. I don't care. You can line up every objection, every problem, everything that any realtor has ever had in their life that's destroyed a transaction. And I will guarantee you in 99% of the cases, it was mismanaged expectations. The home sells too fast. That's not the problem. The problem is you didn't prepare the owner for a fast sale in a market like this. The appraisal comes in low. Well, they all come in low. If you didn't prepare them for low appraisal, that's your fault. A 98-page inspection. Did you prepare the buyers for that? No. Well, then it's going to kill you. And we can go up and down the whole deal. So managing a buyer's expectations, buyers say, hey, we don't want to pay full price. And my answer to that now is, don't worry, you won't.
That's exactly.
You're going to be paying way more than that. Now, you don't want to pay full price.
It is managing expectations. And we have a tendency in our industry, this is one of my hot topics all the time too, is we agents manage expectations in real time when it's happening. And it's too late because everyone's in the red zone. They're stressed out already. If you pre-counsel them and manage expectations ahead of time, bad news isn't bad news if it's delivered on time. And we tend to, then we start texting in the management of the expectations. That's a bad idea too. And I just feel like that you're right. It's always a case of just not managed expectations, both for sellers and buyers. What do you think are some great lead sources right now that agents should be going after? I know, expireds are the most qualified lead we have. There are lots of pockets out there in markets where expireds exist from 6-8 months ago. For sale by owners are popping up, of course, because we told everybody how fast we can sell houses. So we sometimes create that, unfortunately.
Right.
Where do you think is it Sphere? Where should agents be spending their time looking for listings right now?
Well, let's go through some of those. Before I do, I want to give 2 more buyer techniques.
Yes.
In managing expectations, because I know agents are going to have this issue. You finally drag these buyers around, you find a home, and you manage their expectations. There's going to be, 11 offers on a property, et cetera. And the buyers turn to you and they say, how much should we offer? And under no circumstances do you answer that question with a number. The best thing to say to them is, Mr. and Ms. Buyer, I cannot tell you what number, but I will give you a suggestion that I want you to pick a number that is what we call a no regret price. So in other words, it's low enough that you can afford it, but high enough that if it sells for more, you don't wish you'd paid the higher number. I want you coming back and say, oh, we would have never paid that. But if you say, oh, we would have gone that high, well, it's too late now. So give me your no regret price. And then if you don't get the home, fine, we go show you something else. Then the other side of it is, well, if we get the house, is it possible we left money on the table and paid too much? My answer to that is yes. I will guarantee you, if you win the multiple offer situation, you paid more than the other property, so it's axiomatic. Yes, you left money on the table. Are you okay with that? Because if you're not, now's not the time to buy. Well, then we paid too much. No, you didn't pay too much. You paid what you needed to buy the house. Let me ask you this. Would you prefer to not have gotten the house? Well, no. Okay. All right. So maybe you pay $5,000 too much. Do you have car insurance? Yes. How much do you pay a year? $5,000. At the end of the year, you go, honey, I'm really sorry. We never crashed our car this year. You got the Apple Care in your iPhone at the end of the year. You go, well, this never broke. That was a waste. What you're buying is peace of mind. So those are the 2 things to deal with.
I love it.
And again, it comes back to motivation. If it's about the money, you don't have a good buyer. So back to sources.
That's awesome. Both of those are awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Sources.
It's old school. People go old school, new school, and I've always hated that because the term old school becomes a pejorative term. Opening a door for somebody's old school, but I think it's pretty nice. And handwritten notes about as old school as you can get. But I just think I know that I've got my fountain pen. You talk old school. Most people don't know what this is, and my these nice note cards. And I think people like getting a handwritten note. I had somebody the other day, he had a framed thank you note from me. He said, David, when I did something, then he had it in a frame. And I said, I don't think a lot of people are framing emails, so that's old school.
I have this on my desk.
Oh, look at that.
I have this on my desk. Isn't that?
Oh, Sherri,
It's a picture of us from NAR, and actually one of my coaches sent it to me. She saw our picture on Facebook, and she sent
wow,
a birthday note. And I have David Knox now on my desk, so I think of you all the time.
Sure, that's sweet.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I love that.
I like what you said. Old school is actually back to the basics.
Yeah, and okay, we take a look at expireds for sale by owner in a lot of markets. I'm hearing where there aren't any because the market's so hot. And I get, if they're not there, they're not there. We're not going to try to force the issue. Some people for expired listings will go back 6, 8, 10 months, and somebody who may have given up and looking at those. For online stuff, some of the people that I know, they're doing really good online things. Sam Miller, I think he's in Knox County, Ohio. He does his, hey, this is Sam Miller. It's 2 minutes on Tuesday. And what I'd like to do is tell you about 5 buyers I'm working with who are, they're climbing the walls and they need to find a place. And I'm going to read their characteristics, their requirements. And if any of you listening fit that, let me know. And I go, the first guy looking for 250, 300, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, non-smoking, 1 level. And he does that, I think, once a week. Many people text him, and you have to have a response device when you do that. Doing YouTube videos on the market. I think one of the most important messages that we can get out to our sphere of influence and to the world is overcoming the concern, I'm afraid to list without a place to buy. And we did a video in our series on that. And the element of the video is to, number one, talk to a seller and say, would you like to sell? Yeah, but we don't want to be homeless. Okay, but let me just say, would you like to sell? Yeah, we hate the place. We're thinking about burning it down. Okay, so you have the motivation. If I could show you a way to move out of your home and into one that you like, would you like to hear a suggestion? Well, sure. What do you got? Okay, if you really want to move, let's find out what you would buy if you could. And you put it online, do a search, and go back to the solds and see, was there anything in there that you would have bought? This one, that one. So 2 and 6 months. So how long do you think it'll take you to find another home? Well, based on that, it's probably going to take us 6 months. Okay, 6 months to find a new home. We sell your home now at the peak of the market. You make a ton of dough on it, and now you got to cover 6 months. And you ask, what would you rather do? Own 2 homes or 0? 2, well, we can't afford that. 0, you mean we'd be homeless? Well, not in the pejorative sense, but yeah, you could be out of a home. Buyers today might let you stay in the home for a month or 2 or 3. Maybe out of the 6, we cover the 3. Now you do have 3 months. Do you want to go live with your parents? No way. Okay, so you're going to go to a hotel. And now you're going to do a double move. You got to move out, go into storage, move back in, and you got 3 months of a hotel. Oh, your kids get to go to the swimming pool every day for three months and do room service. Oh, what a horrible life you have. And maybe you quantify it's going to be $50,000 to make the double move. And even then, and then you have to talk about the delta, not the gross number, because you still had to pay to move. Anyway, so you come up with a 40,000 number. Well, you just made, 60 grand on your house. Now you got to be clear on this. You're going to pay on the house you buy too. So there's not maybe a gain there unless you're moving down, and just put it in dollars. Just say, all right, it's going to cost you, 40 grand minus what you got on the house. How do you feel about that? And you go, well, okay. Is it worth it to be in a home you really care about? And how many years in that home do you finally break even? Which is another thing that I recommend to agents. Don't be talking about appreciation, because you will know. Even if you say stuff, historically real estate values go. No, you don't even, because basically all they're going to hear is, my realtor guaranteed that it would go up in value. And that's why I am suing her. So no, you say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I cannot predict markets going up and down, interest rates going up and down, but why don't you tell me what you think they're going to do, and let's do a calculation. Well, we think it could go down 20% or 10%. Okay, so you buy a home for 300, it goes down to this. What do you think interest rates are going to do? Well, they're probably going to go up. So they're going to go for 3, 4, 5. So that's 2% of a $240,000 mortgage amortized out. So your break even is going to be 3 years, 6 years, 9 years, 13 years, whatever the break even. So compute the break even point. Do you love moving into a new home enough to have a financial break even of 6 years or whatever the number is? And in a lot of cases, the answer is yes. I mean, what's the break even on the car that broke down? You got to buy another one. You lost money as soon as you bought the car. At least in a house, there's some chance. But if all they do is drag you back into discussion of the money, you violated my very first opening comment: motivation, not money. Because when your car breaks, do you go, well, I think we're going to walk until we find a good deal on a car? No. You rent one. You rent one until you find one, So that would be a way, but it means you have to have conversations with people. And I know this is going to sound cynical, but after 50 years in the business, if there's any one thing realtors hate doing, and that's actually having a conversation with another human being. They just hope they can type it into a computer and wait. And I got to be careful. The really good agents understand the importance of connecting verbally with another human being. Technology is great, but it can become a customer condom.
It's right.
But it can be a barrier.
I call it sales prevention.
Exactly.
It's practicing sales prevention, actually, is what it does. We're better when we're face to face. We can read body language. We can, if 58% of communication is body language and 38% is tone of voice, it has to be done verbally, or we're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, I love the no regret price for the buyers. What is your no regret price? What's the price you would be upset at if you didn't get? And you said, "Oh, I would have paid that." That's stuck with me forever. Also the narrative. How can agents stop sort of perpetuating the low inventory? I believe by stop talking about it, that it's low, but be the agents who are out looking for houses instead of waiting for something to come up on the MLS. It's kind of it's like when I was a brand new agent, I was like, well, I have to find you a house. And every seller says, well, there's nothing for sale, Sherri. And it's like, well, that's because you don't see any yard signs, but I make phone calls. I'll make it happen. I'll go find you a house. Let's talk about where you want to live instead of the hysteria. We keep, every time an agent posts, I could sell your house 7 times. I don't know where you're going to live. We just keep making that consumer more scared. So I think that narrative can start with us talking about being proactive to find listings instead of waiting for something to come up in the MLS.
Mark, by the way, Marky Lemons Ryle. I don't know. Do you know Marky?
I do. I know her real well. Yeah, I do a lot for homes.com together.
Yeah, we feature her in our online training quite a bit. And one thing she said on her Facebook post sometime last month, we do not have an inventory shortage. We have a listing shortage. And I get that it's a play on words, but basically you look out there and go, well, there's tons of houses. So it's not the inventory, it's the motivation of the seller and being able to have conversations with them. And do you want me to go through a couple more ways on getting listings as a release?
Yes, please. Please. And before you get started, we just have a great comment from a good friend of mine down in Columbus. Hi, Carla. She loves your buying peace of mind. So thank you for that comment. And anyone else listening, if you have questions for David, please put them in or just say hi so we know you're here. That would be awesome. So
I love the two-way.
Yeah, it's awesome. So just comment, say hello, let us know you're on. So David's going to share with us more ways to get more listings.
I've got a second home in Rancho Mirage, and I was sitting out in the patio, and a guy comes by in a golf cart. They go by my little wall. He gets off the golf cart, comes over and says, are you the owner of the home? Yes. My wife and I are looking for a property along here. Is there any chance you might consider selling? And I smiled and I said, that is so funny that you say that. I said, I'm going to use this on my next Zoom with realtors, that, you have to get off your golf cart and go knock on some doors. This guy, the buyer, you have to be at least as motivated as the buyers. Then he asked the second good question, which was, we like something along here facing south. Who else of your neighbors do you think might be interested in moving? And again, the two most important questions realtors can ask today is, how much longer do you plan to stay in your current home? Not, do you plan to move? But how much longer? In fact,
I love how much longer.
Yeah, how much longer? Yeah, it's got to be time-based. This is a guy with, he called me up, did a cold call at my place. And he said, are you Mr. Knox, the owner of 304 Lock Lomond? I said, yes, I am. And by the way, my rule is I will answer the phone for spam calls. I will answer the phone. In fact, my number one advice for realtors is answer the phone, because nobody does. Well, but it was a spam call. It was out of area. Oh, so you don't work with referrals from out of town? Shut up. Answer the phone. I return my phone call. If you call between 1 and 2, I return my phone calls between 4 and 5. Shut up. You think you're being nice, telling them you're going to return at 4. You're also telling me I'm not going to hear from you till 4. Hey, honey, I want to list my house with her, but, she's not going to be available till 4 o'clock. We're going to sit here and wait, honey. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Anyway, so the guy calls me and he says, are you planning to sell your home? And I said, first of all, congratulations on having the courage to cold call. Just so you know, I am in the real estate business. I do training. So, but good for calling. But because I do training, you mind if I give you some advice? And he goes, well, sure. You said, do I plan on moving? And I said, a better question is, how much longer do you plan to stay in your current home? And he went and he wrote it down, I think, and he liked it. So, okay. Well, then a few days later, he sends me this note. Thank you for your words of wisdom on 9:30. I actually had success off it today. So now he's doing the second thing that realtors don't do. He's writing a handwritten note. So I don't have any listings. Have you done anything? But yeah, the question is how much longer? And then the second question is, of all of your friends or of all of your neighbors, you pick the group. Who do you think would be the next to make a move? And it replaces the other bad closed question that says, do you know what he was thinking about that? No, of all your friends, who would be moving next? Because anyone can answer that. Every single person listening right now, if I ask the question of all of your friends that you know on the planet, who do you think would be the next? Every one of you can go, he's going to be 10 years, 15 years, 2 years. You can go categorize and kind of figure that out. Yes. So this guy getting off his golf cart, he knows those two questions. Now he asked them more in a closed way. And by the way, the other, you talk about old school knocking on doors, Bob Wolf. I don't know if you know Bob, one of the top realtors. I just saw a post. He's the number 2 in his company worldwide. I can't tell you what his gross commission income was last month. I don't have permission to share it, but it's just stupid money. But number 2, and he wrote an offer on a property for $1 million, and it was multiple offer, and his buyer lost. So Rob now got a guy with $1 million burning a hole in his pocket. So he had his assistant go through the neighborhood and compare all the property addresses with the homeowner addresses, came up with 8 that were absentee owners. He sent 8 overnight UPS letters explaining that a buyer wanted to spend $1.1 million. And, if you're interested in selling, let me know. And the next day he gets a call from a guy who says he'd be interested in doing it. Bob lists the place for, I don't know, it doesn't matter, $1.1 million. He gets both ends of it. And Bob's so funny. He says, David, I just want you to know that I paid for my 8 overnight UPS letters. And another quote that I get from Bob, and I think he got it somewhere, but he says, David, real estate agents today don't need 20 more techniques. What they need is 20 seconds of courage. 20 seconds of courage. You see a home, you think it would be good for your buyer, get out of your car, knock on the door, introduce yourself. You see it for sale by owner, you see it expired. An appraisal comes in low, call your seller, say, I'm calling, you talk about bad news. Bad news delivered now is better than bad news delivered a minute from now. So those are some ideas.
It's brilliant. And, I remember, it's funny, you said you got to just knock on doors and want to find them a house. You have to be more excited than the buyer. And I pulled in, I had an out-of-towner in my car, and I was in a town over here in Cleveland, and I pulled into the wrong driveway because I was talking and there was no sign. And so I pulled into the wrong driveway, and I said, oh, we're at the wrong house. And I pulled out, and they said, we like this one better. We like this one. I said, well, I don't think that one's for sale right now. And we went over across the street, went into the one that was actually for sale, bring them the house. They're looking out the window at the other house. And they say to me, we really like that other house. And I said, well, let me see if they'd sell. I knocked on their door. I sold them that house, to your point. Okay. And I said, hey, I'm out with out-of-town buyers. We pulled in your neighborhood by accident. I know this sounds totally crazy. I gave them my card. And I was also taught realtor. And I said, here's my card. And if I can show your house either today or tomorrow, they're ready to buy. We sold their house. It was not for sale. And I tell the story. And this is just being proactive and saying, you know what, I will find you a house, even one that's not listed. And that is one of my favorite stories to tell. But, you said it. It's like you can't just wait back and not talk to people. And your other thing you said, and, I have to, hi, Karen Walters, and look who's on, Sandy Rains of the Rain.
I know Sandy. We feature her in our training as well.
I know you know each other. And Sandy, it's so great you're on here. Thank you.
Oh, hey,
I loved what you said, though, about who do you know? Sandy says this all the time, too. It's like, instead of saying, do you know, a yes or no answer, unless you want a yes or no answer, don't ask a yes or no question.
Right.
Yeah, I think I probably learned that from you. And, who do you know? And
who's buying next? You got to add the time.
Buying next. And I loved how much longer do you plan to be in your current home? That is such a great qualifying. Oh my gosh, it's just the best. So, people are sitting out there, they're struggling, some are having phenomenal years, right? Some are having exhaustion problems and can't take time off. Some are struggling to get started in the business. We have some new agents that are on that I know would benefit from some advice from you. What do you give? What would you say to someone just getting their license? I know it'll have to do with listings, but what can they do? What can they do with their sphere or with people they don't know, open houses? What strategies would you give them today?
Good question. I'll talk about both. I guess I'll talk about open house first. Again, I'm going to go back to Bob Wolf because he's just an icon. And when he moved to Southern California in 1989, he didn't know a soul. He was trying to get out of the cold and snow of Colorado. He said, David, I want you to know I held an open house every day for a year. Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, Super Bowl, every single day for a year. I found a home on a busy street where there'd be plenty of traffic. And I went to the home. I had nothing else to do. So I sat in the house and I engaged people as they came in the door, and he describes his whole process on how he did it. And in 1989, he did $30 million worth of production from open houses. And he says now he's doing well more than that. And he said he can trace 80 to 90% of his current transactions from open houses. And my philosophy of open houses, find something on a busy street, easy to get to. It doesn't even have to be a nice place. because the buyers don't know it's not nice till they get there. In fact, one of Bob's favorite open houses, he was able to hold it open for 4 months because it was vacant and it was trashed. And nobody, he said, I loved it. And then one day, sadly, it sold and I lost the ability to use it for prospecting.
Yeah.
But the 3 questions you want to ask in an open house, and not first thing out of your mouth, but, greet them at the front door. Thanks very much for coming. Good to see you guys. Oh my gosh, it's good to see everybody on. Nice to see everybody on masked out and around. Please come in, take a look around. Bedroom wing is that way. This is that way. Take a look around. I can't wait to chat with you. And by the way, before you go, would you do me a favor? Find me, because I want to ask you a question, and I've got a handout that I want to give you. I think you'll find interesting. So take a look around, come back to me. Let them go. They don't need you to say, this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom. I've never had a buyer say, this is the bathroom, right? And then when they come back, how do you like the home? How'd you feel about it? It's too big, too small, whatever. Engage them in some challenging, some chit chat. And then the 3 things I want to ask, if I can, number 1 is, by the way, how soon are you looking to buy? How soon would you like to be settled? Time. Now, every single question I've ever taught realtors for the last 30 years has time in it. Get rid of the stupid yes, no stuff. Yes, no, or for closing. Do you want to buy this house? Yes. Can we meet today at 4 o'clock? Yeah, then I want yes or no. But how soon are you guys looking to get settled? And well, we're thinking about moving in. We're thinking about the next 15, 20 years, something like that. Oh, great. Let me drive you around for 15 years. I got nothing to do. How soon are you planning on moving? Well, and number 2 is, how long have you been looking? And a corollary to that is, how many homes have you seen? Whatever you're comfortable. So ideally, when would you like to be settled? How long have you guys been looking? Well, we just started. Great. If you found something today that met your needs, what would you do? And then they'll either say we'd buy it, or they say we're waiting for a transfer to come through, or a lease, or whatever, and you start. So those are the 3 most important questions, and they have to be kind of dripped into conversation, and sometimes they feel natural and sometimes they don't. And then if it sounds like something that would work, question number 4 would be, would you like some help? And this is when you smoke out people say, well, we're working with another realtor. I want to respect Article 16 and not make that interference, but I don't want to make it my first question.
Right.
Welcome to the open house. Are you working with a realtor? What a stupid question. That's like me walking up to a woman and say, hey, nice to meet you. Do you have a boyfriend? How stupid is that? And true story, I saw a woman at a seminar in 2018, and I thought, I'd like to meet this person. And then I wanted to find out if she listed, sold, closed. So I'm looking for the for sale sign, no ring on the finger. And I know this sounds crass, but when I get to the end of the story, everybody will go, oh, good. So I go up and introduce myself to her. Hey, my name is David Knox. I'm going to be the speaker. Oh, nice to meet you. I love your red dress. Oh, thank you very much. So I took the courage. It was for sale by honor. And I don't know how all the guys feel, but for me as a single guy to go up and, quote, knock on the door and meet a woman, my hands sweat. I don't know what to say, what to do. It scares me like knocking on a for sale by owner. And I ended up chatting with her throughout the day and got to know her, and we're now engaged.
Yes.
Okay. So I cut that story right to the chase. But had I not taken the risk to go up and introduce myself and say hello, I would never have done that. So I'm grateful that I had the courage to do that. She and I laugh about it today. She says, I saw you coming for me. How did you know that? She says, I'm a woman, I know. Because I was shaking hands with everybody. And I looked over and I saw her, and she said, like a laser beam, drew her over to me. I said, so I didn't fool you then, did I? And she said, no, you didn't fool me. And I said, well, that's all right. I wasn't necessarily trying to. I don't know where the hell I was going with that story. You, Sherri?
Oh, we were, you know what? We were just talking about going after opportunities. We were talking about open houses, and then we talked about this one.
And instead of asking, are you dating somebody? I didn't want to open with that.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, nice to meet you. Do you have a boyfriend? What a stupid question.
Don't ask.
The more of the story is she did get back with her boyfriend, then broke up, and then it came back. So anyway, that's an open house. Ask the 3 questions. How soon? How long? You found something, what would you do? And then after that, you decide what you want to do. Follow up. You can follow up with a thank you note. Oh, I see. Congratulations from Tabitha. Thanks. Send them a thank you note. And, I think that some of the cool ways to use technology would be open up your phone, get it to the video, and I'll say, get it going. You go, hey, Sherri, this is David Knox. I just want to thank you so much for coming to my open house. This was the White Colonial on Fifth Avenue. I want to thank you for coming. If there's anything that I can do for you and help you find another home, give me a call. Here's my phone number before. Thanks for visiting. Keep it short, because video, it's a hog. And I think that's something they remember you. And if you want to be cool, stand in front of the house where they know, oh, that's the house we saw. So those are cool things to do. If it warrants a thank you note, great. And just keep following up till they buy from you, buy from somebody else, or die. And then sphere of influence. Should we go through that?
No, not yet. No.
No.
Talk about sphere of influence for sure.
So you do want me to do that next?
I would love that.
Okay. How powerful is sphere of influence? It does kind of depend on your age in the business. I talked to somebody, she just got in the business, she was 22. And I said, her friends can't afford to pay attention, much less buy a house. And so they're probably not going to get a lot of business from them right away. She was just out of college. And I said, but maybe their parents, whatever. And if you're new to the business, they don't know you and trust you as a realtor yet. So it's going to take a while. They've got to see that you've got some listings and sales, and you post on Facebook till they know. But if you're an experienced agent, your sphere of influence ought to be one of your top sources. And right now is the time to get on the phone, a telephone, use one of these things. These go both ways, and call everybody in your sphere of influence. It's probably going to take you all year long. And you block out whatever, an hour every day. Everybody's got their little snappy answer for that. But maybe you make 5 a day. And I'll give you 5 good reasons to call your sphere of influence. I'll give them to you quickly and then one at a time. Thank, invite, inform, customer survey, vendor resource. Number 1, the easiest, wonderful one is to thank them. Just call them and say, hey, you guys were my first customer back in 2007. And I'm just calling to say thank you very much, because you started me down a path of great career. So thank you for listening. Thank you for buying. And then shut up. In fact, a woman who sold my house, what's the year is this? It was 9 years ago today, as a matter of fact, sold my house. She did a great job. And one of my employees called up and said, I need a referral to a realtor. And I said, oh, gosh, I know so many here in Minneapolis. Where do I start? And I said, well, why not work with the realtors who sold my house next door to your parents? And she said, great, be happy to. Is she good? She was great. What's her name? Her name is, I forgot her name. I can't believe I forgot her name. I said, Aaron, I'll get back to you. So I have to go in, look in the file, purchase agreement, scroll to the bottom. And I go, oh, how could I forget her? You know how I could forget her? It's been 9 years, and I'd never heard anything from her. No cards, no, nothing. So I emailed her. So I did a search in my email, go back and find her, and I clicked reply. And I said, one of my employees wanted a realtor. I want to refer to you. I couldn't remember your name because I haven't heard from you in a long time. I was real straight with her. I said, I forgot your name, and I had to go in and find you. And then I asked the question, if any of you ever get this question, you stink at marketing. You know this. And I asked the question, are you still in the real estate business? Okay, are you still alive? And maybe for a lot of you, you ought to send out a postcard, and the title is, I'm not dead yet. So to her credit, she replied to my email almost immediately. She said, you could tell she was being kind of sheepish about it. And she said, yes, Brian and I are still in the real estate business. Thank you for the extra effort in, trying to refer me. We're still in the business. And then she said, we are still trying to come up with a way to contact our past clients. Do you think after whatever it was, 7, 8, 9 years, smoke signals, drive by, pop by, Brian Buffini, pop in, drop by, Mike Ferry, cold call, email, smoke signals? Come on. Or how about just a phone call? So to all of you listening, had this woman at any point in the last 7 years just said, I just want to call you and say, thank you so much for listing your home with me on Mount Curve Road. I said, Heidi, gosh, really good to hear from you. And then probably would have said, how's the market? What's going on? And you have a conversation where you're not trying to sell anything. You're not bothering them. And so number 1 is thank. That every single one of you can do. And if you really want to test it out, as soon as we're done with this interview, pick one of them, just one, and call them up and say thank you and see how it feels. Number 2, and this is more difficult to do, and that is to invite them to something. And so that requires some kind of an event. And that's been hard to do, especially in California. My realtor, this is a guy, John Baumgartner. I met him in an open house, and I listed 3 of my condos with him and bought a house from him. And during the signing of one of the contracts, I found out I was his first customer ever in the history of his life.
Oh my gosh.
I was his first customer. And I say in a kind way that he fooled me. I had no idea he was a new agent. At that time, I'd been in the business, I don't know, 40 years, and he fooled me. I had no idea he was a new agent. And when I say fool, I mean it in a kind. He was so professional, so kind that I had no idea he was a new agent. I never would have thought to ask him. Well, now he's sending me these. Now you talk about marketing and all this kind of stuff. So John sends this to me. And every November, he sends out an invitation to a back-to-season party for all his clients, customers, and friends at the Mission Hills Country Club. Well, last November, I knew he wasn't going to be able to do it. Because in California, it was illegal to be, in fact, it still is. It's illegal to be alone with yourself in your own house, I think, in California. But I still got an invitation from him. And the Evite said, as you may well guess, you covered the news, some we can't have our party, but I still want to honor you. If you're going to be in the desert between November 17 and 25, let me know, RSVP, and we'll arrange a time for you to drive by Mission Hills Country Club. And we'll give you a pecan pie or a pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. I don't know how many pies he gave out. It doesn't matter. What matters is the invitation. So partner with a charity. Have a barbecue in your office parking lot. Buy 100 tickets to the Home and Garden Show. You figure it out.
Yes.
You need to come up with a reason. Call them. Hey, Jim and Karen, I am calling because I want to invite you to a special event that's going on. In fact, if nobody shows, then you got the benefit. Hey, Justin Belch. Justin, how are you? You and I need to talk again. You need to subscribe to our online training. Sorry, Justin. Good to see you. So anyway, I had thank, invite. Number 3 is inform, simple voicemail, 12 seconds, open with your name and phone number, close with it, and in between some provocative statement. Hey, I am just going to let you know the market here in Dallas, Texas is doing something we haven't seen happen in 50 years. And it directly affects your home. If you'd like to hear more, give me a call. Hang up, database, next call, and do 5 or 10 in the morning or something. So we have thank, invite, inform, and then, what else am I have here? Oh, customer survey. This is an agent. She used to work with Howard Brenton, Kelly Moy, really, really good agent in Colorado. And a number of years ago, she sent me a customer survey. And it was mailed, and you fill it out, and you mail it back. And I called Kelly. I said, how does this work? And she says, I get a listing or 2 a month out of it. And she asked the typical questions. Are you going to move up, move down, refinance, whatever? And then another guy, Barry Berg, top agent here in Minneapolis, he did a customer survey. I asked him. He says he gets a business from it. Well, I get another one from Kelly the other day. And you talk about old school, new school. Old school, a postcard, physical mail. Oh, mail's so old school. You know what? It still works. You can't. In fact, today I got another postcard I just got this. Came in, but right before this interview from Bob Wolf. He sends one of these out every 21 days for the last 30 years. He makes 150 grand off of these stupid postcards, just reminding people that he's not dead yet. So old school postcard. And then the flip side of it is you want new school. The flip side is a QR code.
Yep.
And then if you hold up your phone to the QR code, see what happened in the top of my phone.
Yeah, you go straight to the website.
Yeah, I get a link to a Survey Monkey. And you tap on the link. And now that same survey opens up.
Wow.
And you can tap on it when you scroll all the way down. It says name and contact method. And then you click done. So that's something you just come up with a customer survey if you want. Now, they're a little bit more work, but when I say that, I think it's a lot more work to not make any money. And then the last thing, and I got this from Bob Wolf, and that is to be a preferred vendor resource. Every realtor has been in the business any length of time, has a list of people, transactional vendors, moving vendors like movers and locksmiths and that, and then home ownership, pool, cleaning, pet. And Bob has a list of all these things, and he tells his customers and clients, and he knows they can't buy a home from him every year, but they need home-related stuff every year, so he's trained them to call him. And they'll call him for stupid little things like, hey, my pool guy quit. Do you have a line on a pool guy?
Yeah.
And I mentioned this in a seminar. People say, so Bob, will professional realtors got to take calls about a pool guy? Isn't that a waste of time? I'm thinking, you are really an idiot. So in other words, you don't want to call your sphere of influence, and now you don't want them to call you.
Not you.
Just take your license and turn yourself in.
It's so true. You
But
said it earlier. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to have a conversation.
yeah, which I don't know why they're in real estate if you don't want to talk to people. And
It's,
everybody's looking for the magic technological way where I type in this and I buy that and they magically come to me.
there is no magic pill. And I think that is the reality. You know, I had a guy his name is Greg Willis. He was the go-to for everything. His clients called him for everything, and
Yep.
they referred him business almost every time they called him. And the same thing. He said, I don't mind taking these calls because you know how much business I make just by connecting people, and then all the people in the community love him because he's referring people. I mean, it is a face-to-face personal relationship business that we're in.
Yep.
You gave some great talking points right there. We have a question.
Okay.
And it's from Karen Walters. I think she's still on from, I think, New Jersey. Hi, Karen. And so she says, may I ask some advice for winning on an offer in the $350K price range, popular areas where we've gone 10 to 30 over listing, 10K towards an appraisal shortfall, and even 3K towards FHA repairs. My client is contingent upon their home selling. We are past all contingencies. No one will accept their offers. They have written 17 offers in. What would you suggest Karen do here?
I'm going to say something. I'm going to answer Karen's question because it's a valid question, but it goes to the point of I really would prefer to be the listing agent because the listing agent wins every multiple offer presentation. But to Karen's point, let's assume that the buyer she's working with, somebody you love, you care, you whatever, you really want to help these people out. First thing is get their home on the market and get it sold. I mean, contingency, nobody's going to accept a contingency. And by the way, there's one sad situation that sellers aren't accepting right now, and that's VA offers oftentimes because of the appraisal. And so here are these people. They put their life on the line. Men and women, put their life on the line, dying for our country. And one of the great benefits they get is the VA benefits. And all of a sudden, you're in a market where it doesn't work. And I just feel horrible for those people.
I agree.
So for this one, at least she can change it. And you got to go to what I would do is sit down with the buyer and say, how badly, you've lost 17 homes. How badly do you want one? Then let's get your home sold right now. Get it closed, get the cash, put it in the bank. So you've got to become a cash buyer, obviously get pre-approved. And then we're going to start looking at properties. And let's, in the meantime, and buyers might give you 3 months. They might let you stay in the place for 3 months because they're in the same boat. So I would do that. And so they got to sell their home. And if they won't do that, then I go back to questioning motivation. Then go out and find them a home. And after that, you do what you can do. You write a good offer. I think everybody that I've talked to, I've done, I don't know, 50 or 60 or 70 Zooms just lately on multiple offers. And one of the things that's been the standard go-to, but people are saying don't do it anymore, and that's the buyer letter, the love letter. It runs the risk of violating fair housing laws. And most of the companies I work with have just said to their agents, we're not going to do it. And if that's the only way you can win a multiple offer is to write some letter to the seller, then maybe your offer isn't that good. I get it. I understand it. And it would be nice if you could do that. But talk to your broker about it because it's really pushing on the fair housing. I will say this, a couple other ideas. You need to have good relationships with all your fellow realtor. One of the things Bob said to me, we got a video on multiple offers that Bob Wolf did. He said, David, one of the things I do is I'm always gracious to my local realtors. If they want to present an offer, I'll let them present it directly to the seller if they want. They may come in, they can present it. I return their phone calls. I let them present it. I always take care of them because I know I'm going to have an offer on one of their listings. And when I call them up and say, I got an offer to present, they deal with me right now. So you've got to deal with integrity with your local realtors. And before you write an offer on a property, I would want to talk to the listing agent. And I get that can sometimes be a challenge. But if I got to drive to the office and say, Sherri, I know you're busy. May I ask you a question? I'll drive over. I'm going to call, text, skywrite, and say, I'm drawing up an agreement on your property at this avenue. What can you tell me without violating seller confidentiality that would help me write a better offer in the interest of your seller? Anything about closing, anything you want. And they might say, well, they're building a house and they absolutely can't get into it till the 31st of August. Oh, good. Nice to know. So I'm going to write a contract. I'm going to close on the 25th so they have their money. I'm going to set the possession date for September 2nd, give them a comfort zone. You know, so those are some things.
Yeah, you can get a lot of information from talking to the agent
Yeah.
that helps you. And agents that talk put deals together. Even with
Yeah.
feedback, I will piggyback on that. Agents who just rely on we have this feedback system, which is great. To schedule showings electronically, and the seller can just respond yes or no to a showing. But the feedback piece, I had a seller, David, who called me. I was managing the company, and I had a seller, I rate several actually, who ran their own businesses, were in sales, and they got those feedback sheets that had the multiple choice and really no feedback in them. And they said to me, "This is the worst system that's ever entered the real estate market because none of your agents are overcoming objections for people to buy my house." And I said, "You're absolutely right, because that's the truth. When agents talk to agents, we put deals together." And we're able to say, "David, what do I have to do to be number one? Will your buyer write on this house if we remove the above ground pool?" "I don't know." "Well, why don't you go find out?" Right. And next thing you know, they went and put an offer together.
Sure.
What do you suggest to people who have listings that aren't selling right now? Because we have that situation. We have some markets where people have had listings on for 30 days, 60 days. What they're saying is, "I don't know how to price now because I can't say it's going to get 17 offers. We got 2 offers, Sherri, and the first one's falling apart. And the other people that looked at the house."
Whoops. I think you just froze. Let me just try something. I want to see if it's me or Sherri.
Already bought something else. Whoops.
Back?
I am back. I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
know.
Let me just. I want to make sure
We're
it's
back on, though. I don't think we're back online. Let me ask my producer.
I just want to make sure it's on my end. No, my end, everything is working. So let's see, Sherri.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. How about the other way?
It does show that we're live. I think we're live. Okay, we're back on. We're back on. All right.
Yeah,
Ooh, that was weird. But we're back on. And everyone's commenting. Thank you all. We do have a question and a great comment. Jim Nepris says, "Great time spending. Hope to meet you again in person." And his question is, how would you deal with the agent that treats it like an REO and will not take calls to ask questions? Great question, Jim.
I got to go back to the not selling, but ask this question. My best answer is if the sellers are unresponsive, go over their head. Or if the agents are unresponsive, go right over the head to the broker.
I totally agree.
And if they are the broker, well, then it depends on how bad it is. But I drive to the office, go over their head. And I mean, if I've got an offer on a property, I'm going to see that person one way or another. I'm going to go on Facebook and find out where they eat lunch. I'm going to I'm not going to give up. But I want to go back to the question about homes not selling. If they're not selling in this market, I mean, the classic 3 answers are price, condition, and marketing. So take a look at all of those things and see where it is. Pricing can be a challenge. There is a price, no matter how good the market is, there is a price at which a home is not going to sell. And if you want to attract multiple offers, you have to price it at whatever that number is to attract it. And so then we take a look at condition of the property and go through and just the fundamentals, which, by the way, leads me to something else. People should be thinking, what about commission? People say, well, the home's going to sell in 48 hours. Why should I pay you your full commission? And my answer to that is, you're not paying me for the 48 hours it took to open the door and walk somebody in and sign a contract and present it. You're not paying me for those 48 hours. You're paying me for the last 20 years of skill and marketing and reputation so I could sell a home in 48 hours. And then number 2, you're paying for everything I'm going to do from the time 11 offers come in, and I'm going to help you pick out which one you should accept because which one's more likely to close. And then you're going to pay me for dealing with contingencies and appraisals and inspections and mortgage and title and insurance and all that stuff, and dealing with everything that can destroy your ability to sell in a home market like this. You need me now more than ever. ever. In fact, I'm thinking about raising my commission because I'm working harder than I've ever worked. I'm now instead of showing your home to one agent, I got 75 offers I got to manage, and I got to give you feedback on a Sunday night from 30 people here. So no. And by the way, if there was ever a time you could afford to hire a professional realtor, now is that time. And then I would sit down, they say it sells in 48 hours. Do you need your home sold in 48 hours? Most people say, well, no. How about we take a breath? How about we wait 7 or 8 days? Don't rush to market. Let's take a breath. And then we're going to redo all your landscaping. We're going to stage the property. We're going to do still our 50 HDR photos. We're going to do a drone video. We're going to do a high definition video that we're going to promote online. And we're going to get everything ready. And like Apple Computer, instead of saying, by the way, we came out with AirTags, and people go, what's an AirTag? They go, they leak, and they're going to have an Apple event, and they make it a big deal. Yes. And I'm not suggesting holding it off the market illegally, but you get everything ready to go, and then bam, you make a splash. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we realtors, we can outperform a bad market, right? But what about a good market? Guess what? We can outperform a good one too. And if I can get you another 0.2 or half a point or maybe a full point higher, yeah, they're selling for 105% asking. What if I get you 106? Now you got another 1% on top of that because we took our time and we did it right. So I want to market your home as though it's a normal market. Why just say put it on as is at 48 hours and give it away? Let's make this really, really good. And that's why you want to hire me. So you've got to be worth that. So
I absolutely love this. And you create urgency, and it is like Apple. Everybody wants, and they're standing in line waiting for the next big thing. And if you just slap this thing in the MLS and act like it's any other listing, there's no excitement there. Have a pre-marketing plan ready to go, following the MLS guidelines, of course. But my goodness, you can pick up, people say to me, I can't sell anything. They sell so fast. Well, call the neighbors. How about call the neighbors and pick up 7 to 10 pieces of potential business from calling the neighbors when you list a house?
Have a neighbors only open house then too.
Exactly.
Have a neighbors only open house. And if it's
neighbors only.
Yeah.
Megan Owens out of, she's one of the people we coach, and she does a nosy neighbor open house.
Yeah.
And she actually has a nosy neighbor sign with a logo with a nose on it, David. It's hysterical. And she's been doing it for years. And it's like on a Wednesday evening. And that's how she picks up all these listings. And it works.
Yeah.
Jim has a comment here, question. Let's see. I called an agent last week to follow up on my buyer's offer that was not accepted, to ask how far away from the winning buyer. It turns out my offer was higher, and she had so many that she really never took the time to read. Gee.
If what he's saying is it didn't take time to read, that it wasn't presented. If that's how I understand that, Jim, if the listing agent didn't present it, I think you got an issue with some ethics.
Yes.
Board and things like that. But if everything was done properly, the owner does not have to accept the highest price offer. The definition of best usually is money, but it's a lot of other things such as possession, closing, personal property, perceived ability to actually close. I'm sure there's a lot of owners who have accepted not the highest offer because of some other criteria. But if the listing agent just failed to present it, then we're denying the owner the opportunity. If the owner chooses not to accept it, that's fine. That's how this business works. But if the listing agent chooses not to present it, that's a violation.
Oh gosh, and she could not find it, so I don't think it got presented. Sometimes that is a call to the broker, maybe.
Well, then I would. Well, the lesson I learned from that is REL, reward experience learning. L is, if I'm going to present an offer, a couple of things. I'm going to, first of all, keep it confidential till right before the presentation, because I don't want them to shop it. So you decide what that reasonable time is, and absolutely confirm receipt. And, in a market like this, I might drive the thing over, put it in a sealed envelope, and just say, I do ask one thing. My buyers have requested that this not be open till some reasonable time prior to you presenting it. And of course, they can always fool you on that. So that's another idea on not losing in a market like this.
You said earlier, this thing makes two-way calls, and my line is always, I always say this makes outgoing calls. It actually makes outgoing calls, and you can call people, and wow, wouldn't you know, when you call people, you have an opportunity to make $5, $10, $15, maybe $20,000, because every single person you call may also have another sale behind that, may have a referral. I want to have you talk about, you said desire at the beginning of this, and how can you help the mindset for everyone listening? Like, how do we get time management and put the calls on the calendar to make sure I make the calls? How do you time block and have a mindset of discipline? This is, the greatest thing about real estate is it's flexible. The worst thing about real estate is it's flexible, right? And we just kind of wander around, and we may not be doing dollar producing activities. How do you fix that? How do you get a better mindset for daily routines? What's your best advice on time management and making those calls? Just
okay, that's a good question. Yeah, we get in the real estate business. Why? Because we're free. We can do whatever we want. Because I'm an independent contractor. I can do anything I want. In fact, today, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do nothing because I can do nothing because I'm an independent contractor and you can't tell me what to do. And Jerry Seinfeld has a great line. He said, everybody asks me, what have I been doing? I've been doing nothing. But doing nothing is not as easy as you think, because when you're doing nothing, you have a lot of time to think of something. And that would lead to anything, which would ruin everything. So you've got to build discipline in. I worked out this morning. I went down to the gym and I work out. I do it about 5 times. I don't particularly like it, but I've gotten into the habit. I found a place to stick it into my schedule. And I do in the morning. If I can't work out in the morning, there's no other time that really works for me. So I just decided the desire, it's important because my fiance is really good looking. So that was my desire. And I wanted, if she was younger than me and she's in great shape. So I want to be in good shape. So I had that desire to do that, to work out. So when I work out, sometimes I'll send her a picture. She says, hey, babe, you're looking good. But remember, I'm supposed to be the hot one. That's kind of our joke back and forth. And so the desire came from that. And here's the other good point. If for some reason she and I weren't together, I would still go work out, because now maybe I started off doing it for her. Now I'm doing it for me. I enjoy working out because I enjoy what it feels. So for an agent, you can get discipline, but if you don't have the desire, like, as you know, quitting drinking, a lot of people say you must have a lot of discipline. I go, there's no discipline. I have no discipline. If I had to quit drinking by discipline, I would have been drunk years ago. I do it through the desire. I ask people, said, when you're driving on a road, does it take discipline not to cross the center line and head on somebody? Well, hell no, that doesn't take, of course not, because it's just, that's going to kill you. So for me, drinking is crossing the center line. And for realtors, if you're afraid of making calls, if you don't have the desire for the business, it's okay to not be a real estate agent. There's a great quote I heard from somebody. Says, don't ask how smart your kids are. Ask, how are they smart? Everybody's smart at something. Everybody has a desire for something. And if it's not sales, if it's not real estate, you don't have to do it. I mean, really, find something else that you want to do. Ralph Burnett gave me a management job to manage an office. I hated it. I'd rather have a root canal than manage it. That's why I don't do coaching. So I hate doing it, but I love training. I like speaking. You've got to, other people say, if you're in the right seat on the bus, so to speak. And so if agents listening today, if they just find real estate to be painful, I think you've got to take a look. Are you in the right industry? And if not, it's okay to find something else. If the only way you can do this business is by forcing it through discipline, you're in the wrong business. It's got to be joy. If you got to get up and looking forward to the challenge of the business, calling on a for sale by owner, even if you don't get it, it's got to be kind of fun. Say, I want to watch these guys that get really stressed when a realtor calls. Watch, let's go up there to the door. Let's see what's in. I talk about for sale by owners like going to the zoo. Let's see what's in this cage. Let's, call up, treat it as a game.
I say this, it's a game. It's a challenge. It's funny. It's fun. Sometimes it's fun to, just ask them more questions and say, hey, where'd you come up with the pricing strategy? And the first thing they say is, why, is it too low? And I say, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. And the next thing they say is, well, when can you come over?
Yeah.
They're inviting you over. It is desire. This has been such a treat having you on today.
Thank you, Sherri.
The gems of what you have said, and I just took so many great notes in the line.
Good. Thank you.
And you really have your personality and your wit and humor are just fantastic. And it's contagious. Your passion is contagious, and anyone who meets you knows that. If anyone has any other questions, make them right now. Put them in the chat before we end this. Because,
and by the way, Sherri, you have a skill or desire that I don't have. You like coaching. You're good at that. You do a lot of one-on-one coaching. To me, I wouldn't mind coaching speakers, trainers. That might be more, but I don't like I'm not drawn to the one-on-one coaching to agents. Now, having said that, I'm glad to do Zoom and talk to people like that. So I love helping agents. But in terms of getting into one-on-one coaching, it's just not in my DNA to do it. I was never good at that kind of management. But in terms of shooting video and creating video and going on location, videotaping agents and editing and creating that's where my passion is. So I don't need discipline. This morning, I shot a live video for one of my clients down in Atlanta. And I spent this morning editing the thing, giving it to Rob. He uploaded it this morning. So it was fun doing it. I didn't have to use discipline. I like editing.
No, it's not work, actually.
It's fun.
It's really fun. And, I think what people need to realize is that this is a relationship business. It always has been. It always will be. It's really about action, taking action, even when you don't feel comfortable, being okay, being uncomfortable. It only lasts for a couple seconds, and then the reward is so much reward that comes from it. Just knocking on doors, talking to people where they live. Every single thing you said today was fantastic. And
thank you, Sherri. Thank you. It's really fun. I've been looking forward to doing this. I think we talked about a year ago, but with craziness going on, I've got a lot of respect for you, and I see your name all over the place. You do a great job for the industry, and I've read various posts that you put up, and I think I stole something from you somewhere along the way where that's good. So you've got great content, great skills in coaching. So so I've learned from you as well, Sherri. So it's a pleasure to share the video with you.
It's such a pleasure, and it's such an honor. And, I hope you come back. I'd love to have you on again.
Of course. Hey, you got to come into our studio and shoot a video for us.
Yeah,
come to Edina.
Yes, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. And consider that done. We'll make that happen.
In fact, you know what else I want to do? We should probably do this offline, but I've got a new series of videos called Role Plays, and I want to role play with somebody who knows how to play the part. So I'd love to have you come in, do a presentation. Sure. If you like, do a couple of 12-minute presentations on your thing you desire most, and then maybe you and I do some role play demonstrations. So let me know when you're going to be flying through Minneapolis. We'll put you up at the Westin Edina Galleria and bring you into the studio.
That would be fantastic. And, if you want to find David, davidknox.com. Mm-hmm. And I saw a free 30-day, what's great about us, and we're in the same business where we are and we're not, I grew up in the real estate market, being mentored by people who were trained by you and then being trained by you. And I am just grateful that, even today, we can have this relationship where we're both adding value to the industry. We speak the same language. You've been just really an icon. And so
thank you, Sherri. Thank you.
Just appreciate and adore you. And really, I would like to see you race a car. That would be one of the things I would like to do. So if
you come to Minneapolis on July 1, you come up to Brainerd International Raceway, I'll drive you around the track. And actually, that's the most fun for me is when I get people in the race car and drive them around. We strap them in, put a helmet on you, and we take you around for a fast lap, and people's heads explode. They have no idea that you can go around a corner that fast. So I love looking over at
I don't even know if I told you, my father raced cars before I was born, and he took me, on the Autobahn, and I was driving 250 kilometers. I mean, I love fast cars. And so that would be a fun, maybe I could do the interviews with you and see you race. But
I got a speeding ticket on the Autobahn.
Oh, you did?
You know how hard that is to do?
That is very hard to do. Oh my gosh. I
was in Austria, not Germany. I discovered Austria does have speed limits. So, how fast you were going? 120 kilometers. You go faster. I was doing 250 and a 120 in Austria.
250, I'm sure. Wow. So I'm excited to see your plans with Mandy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Both meeting and getting engaged. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.
Holidays. I think it's June 8th. Am I right?
That's correct.
Absolutely. Cool. And again, join us. Come back because your wit, your humor about the business, you are just spot on, and you're just so fun and such knowledge that just transcends.
Thank you, Sherri. You made my day.
Well, thank you.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much. You would be actually a good studio partner. Absolutely. Seriously.
Yes.
I can't say that about everybody, but I think it would be fun to do that. It'd be fun.
Yeah. I'd love to have you in our academy, Sherri Johnson Academy. I'm David Knox in the academy. So we can show you that. Everybody on here, download my podcast, You Rock with Sherri Johnson.com. What is it? You Rock with Sherri Johnson, the real estate podcast, available at all podcast platforms. And this interview will be on the podcast, actually. So you can listen to it again, share it with people. And
if there's any broker owner managers who would like to check out our online training, you can go to davidknox.com and then go to training, and you can do a free trial and check out some of our videos. And I'd be happy to do a Zoom demo to managers. And then for agents, our famous video Pricing Your Home to Sell is now digital. So everything's done online through a mobile app. So texting it and emailing it rather than doing the DVD. Carla, thank you very much.
The app is awesome. Your app is awesome. And everyone, it's hundreds of videos online from David Knox. And we're just so glad you were with us today.
Thanks, Sherri. This was fun. Really, really fun. Thanks for having me on the show. It was an honor.
Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Go make it happen. You have a listing appointment. You have a listing or sale this week. You just don't know the address yet. So let's go make that happen. Sending big love from Cleveland, Ohio. And are you in California today?
I'm in Minneapolis today.
Okay.
So.
And David Knox, thank you. And I just saw Carla, 2 rock stars. Thanks for the tips. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This will be available again on You Rock podcast. And David, we'll see you soon. Have a great weekend, and bless you again. And thank you for your time and talent.
Thank you very much, Sherri. Really good to see you.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. See you later.
Bye-bye.